all of these investments are investments in yourself. So none of them are going to be a waste, because if anything, you're learning a skill, you're gaining a tool. Mr. Pauly Buck, how you doing,
What's
man?
up, buddy?
It's good to see you. Another week in the books, man.
It's vest and warm hat weather. That's what it is.
You ain't lying, man. I got to tell you. So my office space is set apart from the rest of my house. It's like a lofted barn, and it doesn't have heat, so I have to turn on the space heater. And so I had to come in here at like 2 hours prior to this recording just to crank it on. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna come back later. It's nice and toasty in here, man. It's perfect.
Oh yeah. Well, when I get done here after our show or even recording anything, I've got the door shut and all the walls are insulated, and just the lights. It just gets hot in here. It gets really warm in here.
Nice.
Above me I'm in my basement, so I have a drop ceiling above me, and I don't know, I'm 6 foot, so that's probably 8-foot ceiling. But sometimes I take a couple tiles out just to let heat out, because it's just too warm some days.
Now, I got to ask, you're in Michigan. What was it this morning? What was the temp this morning?
17 degrees.
17. Ouch, man.
17 degrees. That's a 15-minute car warm up for those wondering. Yeah. I get out, start the car, put everything in the lunchbox, and get my boots tied, and out the door I go to a somewhat warm car. It still takes a little while. You got to get cruising down the road a little bit, and then she starts warming up the whole car. But it's crispy, man. It's cold. It is what it is. But come the weekend, 45, 46 degrees and rain.
All right.
She'll all be gone. We got snow on the ground. It's been snowing the last 3 days, probably 2-3 inches, 4 inches out of all of it or whatever, but enough to bust a bunch of goldenrod behind the house down so I could finally see deer moving through with my bare eyes rather than squinting like this. Is that a deer moving? Makes it easy.
Not bad, man. Yeah, we hit down to 24 this morning, so actually
really
almost as cold as you guys. Not too far
chilly.
off.
It's chilly.
It's chilly, man. Same
well,
thing,
we get that wind.
We
get that wind and lake effect snow, they call it, because where we're at, and your radar could show absolutely nothing, but it could snow all day. It'll just dump snow all day. Similar thing happened, and actually there was snow on the radar. But remember Buffalo's snowstorm last year?
No.
It could have been early this year. It could have been early this year, but it dumped just piles of snow on that city, because that snow sat right over the lake and just continued to build and build and build. That's and wild. Dump more snow. It's nuts. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'd probably move.
You're not the first one to tell me to do that.
Oh, good, man. All right,
Too many ruts.
Too many, man. Too many. All right, so we got real quick. Let's go over some logistics for anybody who's new to the show. Welcome. We are Pauly Buck and Emil, aka Silver Husky, and we are The Crucible. It's an awesome podcast. We talk about anything and everything, and we do wrap it around precious metals. If you want to catch us on our website, it is cruciblelive.com. We also have Instagram. That's at The Crucible Podcast, and on YouTube, catch us on our exclusive channel at The Crucible Podcast. And Pauly, you've been working on something this week for us. Why don't you share that?
I have, and I'd like to share it with those who are watching on the YouTube version of this podcast.
Ooh, look at that logo, man.
Let me bring this up full screen for you.
There you go. Oh my gosh, man.
Check that out. So I don't even know if you've come and look at this, and for anybody viewing with us on YouTube, this is brand new for you to see as well. But I just kind of finished this up today. So what this website is, it's just rss.com, and it is a website for podcasts. And we can do exactly what I'm doing here. So all of our old episodes, this one is actually episode 12. Congratulations. Thank you. Are on here. And what this site does, it will distribute it to any other podcast platform that there possibly is. And I believe you can come to this website and click listen on. And these are the three major ones that it's on right now. There's also other platforms that it is on, but these are the three major ones that pop up when you click that link. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Those are three major podcast platforms, right? I mean, we can agree on that, right?
Yeah. I think you said iHeartRadio is also on there.
iHeartRadio's on there, Pandora. I'm working on Google Podcasts or Google Play, something like that it's called. It just takes an extra step to do it automatically, but those are all linked. The iHeartRadio is linked. So when I start publishing these, we have one now. It's our trailer. And actually, you probably saw the trailer at the beginning of this show you're listening to or watching right now. So the trailer is up on the RSS website, and it's also the first episode on Google Play, or not Google Play, but Amazon, Spotify, so on and so forth. It's all on there, and they're going to continue to be uploaded until we get caught up. And then each site is set up to where they're going to be weekly uploads along with YouTube. So that's something that we've been working on, and it's finally in motion. So it's pretty cool. You should definitely check that out. On this RSS website as well, it will take you directly to our Crucible Live website. You can check in there. This is just basically a formal introduction to the show, the write-up, but it's a huge world, dude, and you'd be surprised on how many people come to this website and look for different podcasts every single day of the week. And it's just the start, and that's how you get noticed.
That's awesome, man. And thanks for doing that. That's a lot of work, and I don't take it lightly, man.
I do enjoy it. It's something. It can be when you're trying to figure something out, I guess, if I want to put it that way, with being as least vulgar as possible. It gets frustrating, but it's all part of the what am I looking
process,
for here?
Man. It's part of the learning process.
The process, but troubleshooting, and I kind of live for that stuff. It's what I do day to day as well. So
nice.
It's cool. I enjoy it.
Well, the topic
all for the greater good.
That's right. The topic that we started with there is very on par. Real quickly, let's shift gears and talk metals.
Yes.
Real quick, guys. I don't know, Pauly, if you've seen. Yeah, there you go. Ooh,
real quick.
You're raw dogging it, man.
I know, right? So I showed this to you, and I think I shared this on Instagram as well. I mentioned it's vest and warm hat weather.
Yeah.
This coin is what? It's a 2022 year of the tiger, right?
Uh-huh.
Toned up, kind of brown edges, tough to see in the light, but this is the worst part.
Did you like scrape that thing on the ground?
Somebody on Instagram actually said, I think you were using it as a guitar pick, which is actually a pretty good guess. It's a pretty good guess. No, I used to sell quite a bit of silver and stuff, and this was a piece that I sold to a gentleman, and by the time he got it, this is what it looked like. It came from the United States Postal Service, all taped up in the package that I sent him. I'm guessing that this got caught on a conveyor somewhere and just sat there and got beat up on that conveyor. And then they just took it, taped it, and I'm surprised that damn good shipping because it didn't come out of the package. This thing was melted because it came in a capsule. This is from the Perth Mint, Lunar Year Tiger. It was in a capsule. The capsule, I had to beat it a little bit with a hammer to bust it off because it was melted. Yeah. It was melted right onto the coin. So I had lost this. And why I'm talking about the vest is we just got done having Thanksgiving. And the last time I saw this had to have been a year ago because the vest I wore for Thanksgiving is the only vest I wear on Thanksgiving. I reached my hand in the pocket and I said, oh, there you are. Then I sent you a picture.
That's wild, man. Speaking of U.S. Postal Service, it's funny. As soon as we started recording, I got a message from an eBay buyer, and he was asking me, hey, where's my package? The tracking is showing that it hasn't been dropped off. And I'm like, that's BS because it was definitely dropped off. So while you were showing the RSS stuff, I looked it up, and sure enough, it's showing that they haven't received it at the local postal service. And I'm like, that's ridiculous because I sent it there. So yeah, gotta love the U.S. Postal Service.
Probably just didn't scan it. Well, that's maybe. Funny. You bring up emails about where's my product. I sold some stuff on StubHub, which is a ticket selling thing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And in the description of the tickets, it says, I do not have these in hand. I will not have them until the middle of March. And I will be shipping them by April 4th or something like that, whatever I put on there. Well, I got StubHub emailing me. They've got the person who bought the tickets wondering where their tickets are. I said, look, go read the description of the sale, and it clearly states what's going on there. And the person who bought the tickets knows that I there's no way possible I could possibly have the tickets yet.
Right.
So I said, just let them know that everything's good, everything's cool. Confirm their mailing address, and I'll get everything over to them. They sent me a long email back thanking me. This is the type of sellers we need. Quick response. Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it was just one of those things. That's weird that you brought it up because same thing happened to me today, but a different platform.
Yeah, man, it's wild. But anyway,
hey, it's good that they're covering themselves. I mean, and actually that the buyer reached out to them and said, "Hey, where's my stuff at?" You know?
Yeah, but that coin you showed a second ago, that's wild, man. I've seen some crazy stuff. A lot of
I thought it was
packages.
gone.
Yeah, usually they are gone, man. Usually they don't come back. Those things disappear forever.
That's the other thing. And I worked with the guy, right? So I had him. I said, look, I've got more. I'm not going to leave you hanging. Send it back to me, and when I get it, I'll mail you a brand new one. And that's what we did.
Very kind of you, man.
Yeah. So I thought I lost this conversation piece, but now it's right there where it's going to stay.
If I can find it, I'll bring a good conversation piece to the next show. If I can find it, maybe I can. Right. It's some cool stuff. But regarding spot price,
yeah, dude,
Spot's doing some wild stuff right now. I don't know if you guys have been watching. So today is November 29th. That we're recording this. It's a Wednesday, and currently Spot, and this is per Kitco, right? We go by Kitco. It's a little bit more accurate. You can go by JM if you want, but they kind of inflate their prices just a little bit to.
And we said that too. Each one will be slightly different.
Right. So according to Kitco, currently the bid and ask are right around 2042 or 2043. It's about $1 off, which is great. But that's a really good price. The all-time high, if you're new to spot price, the all-time high was actually this year, February 24th of 2023. Spot hit 2072 intraday trading. I don't think it closed. I think it closed at like 2050 something.
Okay.
Or 2060 something. But yeah, the intraday trading 2072. So we're only $22 off. And again, we don't know what spot can do. It can go up, it can go down, but it's just something to keep an eye on.
Okay, so for those looking at this as I'm looking at it, I'm going all the way across on gold, and it says low and high. So this chart is showing today's low at 2036, and it reached just over 2050 today.
Right. Yeah, that was today's high was 2050.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, for those who are watching and really haven't seen a chart like this, that kind of explains it.
And the other side, you got silver, which is the other one we talk about most often. Platinum, palladium, rhodium. We don't really talk about those too much.
Yeah, but look how low it is. Look how low palladium is.
Yes. Okay. So
$1,000, 1,010.
Palladium was, I think it was like, what was it like? Like, what did it peak at?
Dude, wasn't rhodium like in the 13,000s?
Yeah, it was up there. And palladium, I feel like it was also like 7,000 or 8,000, something like that, just a few years ago. So it took a nosedive. Platinum, I remember it going from 700 to 1,000, and now it's at like 900 something. So yeah, I mean, we don't really talk about those three too much because they're not as in demand. They're more used for industrial purposes, even though they are categorized as precious metals.
Sure.
They're actually the reason that most catalytic converters get stolen from cars because they're full of these precious metals, of platinum, palladium, rhodium. Those are platinum group metals that are used in the catalytic converter to catalyze the exhaust and allow it to come out as something a little bit safer for the environment. So anyways, that's why they get stolen. Silver, on the flip side, is at about trading around $25 right now.
$25, which
is it's actually significantly lower than silver's all-time high, which would have been, what are we talking, like $52 or 40 something, 50 something. That was back in 2011.
It might have got to 50, right?
Yeah, that was 2011. The big winner right now is gold. So if you're holding it and you bought it back while it was what did it get down to, 1,700 recently?
It did. And I was on a show with Silver Heist on a show with Silver Heist for a Black Friday show for bullion dealers, right? And last year it was 17 something an ounce for, gold at spot.
Yeah.
And it was over 19 for this year's.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Could have made a killing. Could have made a killing.
No doubt. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, but
right.
It is what it is.
Hindsight 2020.
Right.
So
yeah, that's been jumping around.
It has been, man. It's nice. And so going back to what you were talking about earlier, you were mentioning the RSS feed and all of the other services that we're going to be streaming on.
Yeah.
Today's show, we wanted to touch a little bit more on what goes into the production, the creation of a podcast, and kind of the behind the scenes of what people don't typically see, or there's probably
you want me to show my text messages?
Oh my God!
I've had this right before, I'm having issues. What issues? Internet issues. Slow? No internet.
Oh, I thought you were gonna talk about earlier when we were going back and forth about the logo, and I was kind of like being so nitpicky. I'm like, nah, it's not quite there yet. And back and forth, probably 15 iterations.
Tell me if I'm being nitpicky. It sends me a bunch of screenshots, ultra zoomed in, and then lines circled. I'm like, whoa,
this is messed up. That's messed up.
He'll see that he's being nitpicky. I don't need to tell him.
Yeah, I know I'm being nitpicky, man.
No, it's all right. Hey, that logo turned out great. I don't know. Let me see if anybody even noticed it. But if you didn't notice it, this took us a couple days to work on? A couple days of back and forth text messages. But I think it turned out really good for a couple dudes who really don't know what they're doing whatsoever.
Not a clue what we're doing, guys.
That's it right there.
No idea. Yeah, it looks really good.
It does from what it started with, which I still dig the okay. So picture this for those who are viewing this. Yeah. So if you're viewing this on, I don't have that one on my computer. So if you can bring that one up or show it on your phone, that'd be great. But so the microphone was actually like an ice cream scooper, and it was dumping out so this is supposed to be molten gold. This is obviously the earth. And I said, man, I love it. But what if it could be a microphone? And it's like, okay, because it is a podcast, microphone podcast. We get all that. And we're just broadcasting throughout the world. And we're just spilling all of our information over the world. What's really cool about this one, and we kind of both agreed on it, was the glow from the earth coming back up onto the bottom of the microphone. I think that's just an awesome touch. It looks really, really cool.
And that was just by chance that it came out that way. So a lot of this was kind of influenced, and it were components that were taken from AI generation.
Sure.
Which is fantastic that we can even do that. Otherwise we'd be paying like $150 for somebody to create this for us. But yeah, I mean, I think it came out really good. That microphone 100%. Came out really nice. So I'll show you if you could see it. This is the original, and you can see that's like totally an ice cream scooper. That does not look like a Crucible.
It is too.
So we had to edit that sucker out. Scooper? Yeah, we had to edit that sucker out and put in the new one. But yeah, I love the logo. I think it looks fantastic, and I'm happy with moving forward with that. Mm-hmm. So that's the level of attention and detail that Pauly and I put into this. But we kind of wanted to talk about everything from start to finish on what it looks like to really make something out of nothing, right? And that's really 12 episodes we were just trying to figure it out.
We're into 12, and we're still figuring it out. I mean, and we're going to continue to figure it out because that's what you got to do to just get better. We're going to keep bringing on guests, which it's not easy because there's so many ideas that run through your head, but then you also don't want to have quote unquote the same person every single week or every single month. You want to mix it up. So it takes a lot of thinking of, you have to think outside the box of, yes, we're precious metals people, but we started this podcast because we wanted to journey outside of that. And we want others to obviously follow along with that stuff. And if they like it, they do. If they don't, then they don't. But it's something that we enjoyed making. So
absolutely,
it's really tough to. I mean, there's so many names that can run through your head, and it's is this going to work? Is this not going to work? I mean, we could talk to a hunting guy. We could talk to a guy that has cameras. We could talk to a lighting guy. We could talk to somebody who looks for gold. We could talk to somebody who fishes, all kinds of stuff. It's endless, but is it going to fit?
And as a tangent, by the way, speaking of the cold and stuff that we were talking earlier, did your brother really dip himself in ice water?
He's starting to, yeah. Did you see that?
I saw it. I was like, this guy's wild.
So he just bought a new microphone, wireless microphone, and he wanted to test it out. And he sent me the very first video of him. I was at work. I'm like, dude, well, he sent me the ice bath thing. He was filling it up, right? And he's like, well, I'm going to start this. I'm like, you're going to end up putting yourself into cardiac arrest, man. I said, you should really talk to your doctor before you just start taking ice plunges. You want to make sure you're good and healthy and that it's going to happen. So he's done a couple of them. He's trying to work his way up to 3 minutes. I think he said he's made it as far as like 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Wow.
But on the plus side, really nice microphone that he got, because his old one. So what do they call those? They're wireless, Louis or something like that, whatever it is. So he records everything from his cell phone, right? You plug into the bottom of it and then you clip on this wireless mic, and it sounded great because he was breathing heavy, huffing and puffing, but it cut out most of the excess huffing and puffing. It just picked up his voice and him talking. So it worked out really good, because that's the test he wanted to put it under, was just heavy breathing type test. Was it picking up a lot of wind and all this other stuff? But no, it's got all these features built in that blocks all that stuff out.
That's awesome.
Really cool.
That's really cool.
So yeah, he's starting to do that, I guess.
All right. So on the subject of microphones, what equipment goes into starting a podcast?
It can go from literally nothing, cell phone in your pocket, to what I would say, I'm not going to say advanced, but semi-advanced, because there is a lot better equipment than you and I have. I believe we both use the same microphone. I think it's $125 off of Amazon.
Right.
What is it? Blue Yeti brand.
Mm-hmm.
Great mic entry. I'm gonna call it entry level, right? Because that's basically what it is. It's not affordable, but it sounds like I have another one right here. It sounds so much better than this thing, right? And that one is probably $35. You can pick up on Amazon or whatever. So you can do literally any budget can start a podcast. You can use your cell phone. You can use I use a really nice Canon camera. I made the investment a long time ago in myself, and I say this a lot, and I'll never stop saying it. An investment in yourself is never a bad investment.
That's right.
So I made the plunge, bought that, instead of using the camera that actually comes with my laptop. Or what I used to use when I started was one of these, right?
Yeah.
And I still have it. I've got an option to plug in and give a different view if I ever decide to do that. I can have a view from over here, a view from over here. I've got options, but I just moved away from that because I wanted a better picture, is all.
Right. All right. So you got camera, you got microphone. What else you got?
Yeah. I've got a very, very expensive laptop, which you don't need, but I wanted it for content creating, right? I want, at some point, I'm going to get away from using my mobile device. I work a lot of hours on my normal job, right? So I can take my YouTube content with me on my mobile device and edit it all there, whether it's on downtime at work, lunch breaks, whatever. I can do all the editing there. But eventually, I know I want to just bring it to the laptop, but I don't want to be taking this laptop to work with me and have to do it there. So I want to find a program that allows me to do it on both, and just almost like a cloud type thing, to where if I'm editing here, it's also already saved and edited if I wanted to take my phone and go somewhere and continuing editing away from here.
So that's another good point. You're talking streaming software like what we're using right now, StreamYard.
Yeah,
and it's good for recording, but it doesn't necessarily do the quality of editing that we need. So we have separate software for editing, right? Exactly. And I think you use a different software platform than I do. I use two different ones. You also need good internet speed.
You definitely. That's my struggle. That's my struggle.
That wasn't a jab.
But no, I know. I know, but that's just it. If I can do it, I'm telling you, anybody can do it. I make it work. It's a lot of long hours on this itself. Like when we're done, yours is instantly uploaded, ready to be published, right? Few edits here or there. I kind of leave mine raw. If I have to add something, I do, but it's, you're talking an hour show. That's almost 2 gigabytes of information there. And that takes me, I hit download, at least an hour and a half to just download it onto the computer, right?
So that you can edit it.
So that if I have to, I can edit it, right?
Right. Yeah.
But if I get it from here, from StreamYard, I can upload it onto my YouTube channel, and that will take all night. And by the time I get up to go to work, it'll be processing. And then at that point, it's fine because now it's on YouTube's end. It doesn't matter what type of internet speed you had. YouTube just processes everything, puts it from standard definition to high definition. Then you can go in, add subtitles, all this other good stuff.
Right. Right.
Internet speed. Yep. You want to have internet speed.
It helps. All right. Talk to me about lighting.
Lighting. You can do the same as anything else. You can do expensive lighting. You can do fairly, again, I'm probably mid-grade. I have one right here. It's a great big bar. It's a soft light. I can dim it. I can bring it up. And again, with the really nice camera, I can have this light dimmer, whatever, but I can make any more adjustments inside the camera to bring more light, less light. And then you can't see it. Well, you can't see them, but I have a light up in this corner, a light up in that corner, and then my live light behind me. That's just accent lights for behind us because I like a little bit of glow back there. And again, you can't see it, but right over this shoulder, there's another little ambient light there. Mm-hmm. Christmas tree over this shoulder.
Nice. With Jack Skellington on the top.
Yeah. So it all varies just on your taste, but you can get decent lighting again for 30, 40, 50, 60 bucks and you'd be set up. Maybe a little cheaper. I'm even looking at, because like I talked about these drop ceilings, looking at different lights that I can attach to my existing light and just use off my switch, maybe add a dimmer switch and do what I want there. Then I just have kind of a glow coming down or something. I figure it all out, but it's actually a little bit cheaper if I go that way too.
Now tell me, from your perspective, what do you think is the value of having the right location in your house to record? If you're recording in your house, some people, have a studio that they can record at, but let's say somebody who's doing like basement recording or whatever in their bedroom.
Yeah. So you want to make sure you have, for my preference, if I'm watching something, right? Like when there's 2 people on screen, like you and I are, you want to kind of keep it equal. Like our lighting is pretty equal. Like you're not completely lit up or you're not completely dark either. And that's kind of where I am, where I've watched a lot of shows where one person is just lit right up, right? Like there's no extra ambient lighting, nothing like that. It's just their house. And then the other person's side looks really great. Like if the other person would just dim a light and throw a blue or red light on the floor behind them and let it shine up, give a little glow, this show would do really great. I mean, it would, watching wise, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, I might add that there's also something to be said about having a quiet, uninterrupted area in your house, or at least notify the rest of the people in your house that, hey, I'm going to be recording. Like Pauly, I've never seen you really have an issue at all with that. It's always been
and it's actually a big issue that they know that I'm down here. So my basement's finished. So it's not like a dungeon or anything like that. All the walls, it took a long time to do what we did here.
Right.
So I'm in what used to be, my wife runs a salon. This room used to have a tanning bed in it. And I've got 220 I ran down here, all that great stuff. Well, she kind of got away from that. So we got rid of the tanning bed and I said, hey, I used to be in the same size room upstairs, but it's connected to my bedroom. So upstairs connected to the bedroom, it was just loud up there. Like even just recording a video, I couldn't concentrate. And then you can't expect a 5 and 6 year old to be able to sit there and not move and make noise while you're trying to record something decent without a bunch of interruptions. So being down here, yes, it's better. The only thing I can hear any once in a while is somebody walking around, but it doesn't pick it up on the mic, and it's good, but it's less of a distraction, basically.
Right.
If it's me by myself, my wife's not here, once in a while that door will kick it open, it'd be my son, but at this point I think it's pretty cool. He likes to come on and say hi, and then I send him on his way.
All right.
But you have your own setup.
I do.
You have that own, you built, you had that structure put in there, which is really nice. It's your own office outside of the house.
Yeah, it's actually
because it's just a space saver, really. You didn't have to take something from your house and say, this is my space, leave it alone. You actually put something away from the house.
Right. So in our previous home, which if you watched any of my auctions from before, you would know that we moved a while back. It was a year and a half ago. In the previous home, my office was like yours, right next to my bedroom. And that was my work office because I work from home most days. So when we moved here, it really didn't have a space that was conducive for that. I mean, I could work off the couch or I could work in my bedroom, but there was no dedicated space for me to have an office of my own. So we ended up buying it's like a 8x12 or no, 10x12 lofted barn. It was completely unfinished, but it was wired. We changed up all the wiring. We added Ethernet, put in the lighting, put in insulation, drywall, flooring, all that stuff, fixed it up real nice. And now this is my office in the daytime and my studio at night. So it does work out great. And, the family, they've obviously been notified, hey, if I'm in here, don't come, right? Don't come and knocking unless there's an emergency because I'm recording. And it's
red
good.
Lights outside the door. Turn that red light on outside the door.
Yeah.
Don't go in there. Red lights on.
That's right. He's recording.
Don't go in it. Yeah, right.
So you had also mentioned,
and then go ahead. You gotta. I was gonna mention the boom mic, right?
No, please do
for your mic, right?
Yeah, go for it.
It's another. These Yeti mics are very, very sensitive, right? I have what it comes with right here. It's kind of dust covered, but I keep it close right here. This is the stand that comes with this mic, right? And I would have this sitting on my desk, and if I just bumped the desk, the microphone would pick it up, and it would just sound terrible. So to have this away from you, or you can come in, you can talk close and get real deep, or you can stay back here and just sound normal, but without having to touch it or move it or anything. It's not touching anything. You don't get all that extra BS with it. The noise.
So I agree. And that's before I never had a boom for the mic. And I mean, I'll bring it down so you can see it. It has that little shock absorbing thing. So you can shake it.
Yeah.
It doesn't really affect anything. Even you could like tap up here like that. You might hear it a little bit, but you really don't hear it much.
Very low, but you're not just going to be tapping on it,
Yeah.
Right?
And that's the other thing. Like if I were to bump into my desk or something, you don't hear it at all. And it's connected to the desk, but like, you can hardly hear anything. You can hear the knocking, but you can't hear it like reverberating through the boom. So it helps.
And I thought about doing mine from I can do all this good stuff, but then my only issue is this wire, so I run it with and there's other options. See, you can't hear me from talking on this backside. But they got all these different things where you can make it as if you were in a conversation with a group of people with a camera going. You could set this in the middle of the table and everybody could just talk, and this mic would pick up all around it. Right. So I plug into the bottom, then plug into the headset. I can hear myself talking through this, so I can test or make sure my levels are still good. That's the reason I use it that way. But you can also just use it through Bluetooth or whatever. But a headset's another thing. Good to have. You don't have to buy a $200 headset. You can if you want to, but noise canceling is really nice because it does cancel out everything around you, and all you're concentrated on is you either doing a video by yourself or with somebody else like this podcast. You can concentrate on their voice, your voice. You can hear all the levels. It's all good to go, but you don't hear anything on the outside of it, which is really nice.
Right. Now,
as long as you keep the noise canceling charged.
Tell me, Pauly, what are your thoughts on the amount of effort it takes as far as coming up with creative ideas to plan the show or bringing on bringing on those different guests?
As far as the creation goes, that's kind of where you play a huge role, because it's not that I don't have good ideas. It's just you're full of them, and you'll send me a list, and you can say, I'm good with any one of these, pick from this list. So we have lists upon lists of ideas. It's just, which one are we going to pick? So as far as a topic, once in a while, one will pop into my head. Like I sent you what we're going to do next week. Yeah.
Like
so it just popped in my head, send it to you. Let's do it. But that list you sent me was like, this was one of them. Like, well, that actually sounds pretty good. It's easy. It's not something, because with Thanksgiving and all that good stuff, we were kind of busy on our own end to be able to research something. Right. So why not talk about something that we actually enjoy talking about and know about, and maybe somebody wants to listen about how to do it themselves, where they can go to find this stuff to purchase if they choose to start their own little podcast or YouTube channel or whatever they want to do, Instagram account, TikTok, whatever.
That's right.
So that end you're really, really good at, and that's not my I guess line of expertise, but I am down to talk about anything as long as I have a little bit of time to research it. If it's not something that I know about, which isn't much.
Good stuff, man. And so regarding guests, I'll say that
I didn't even touch on that.
There's a couple sides to it. One, I mean, you have in your mind who you would like to come on the show, and some of them, that you know them already, and it makes it easy to start that conversation and open it up and bring them on. And then there's some people that are like, pie in the sky. Maybe one day we can get this person on the show. That'd be great.
Yeah.
But then a cool thing starts to happen. And that's where we get people reaching out to us, asking us if they could be on our show. And that just happened recently. Times. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, look at that.
How you sent me that message. I was like, damn, not bad.
Yeah. So and of course,
that's great.
Of course, that doesn't mean that we're going to like just let everybody and anybody on the show that wants to be on the show. It's really, we're like Pauly said in the very beginning, we're looking for a fit, right? They've got to actually fit in with, with our theme of what we're going for. There's got to be value to add. And I think one thing that's a big kicker is we really want people that are willing to show their face, because it'd be kind of awkward to have, the two of us in a video format on YouTube, and the third person would be like a logo sitting in the middle.
Yeah. So that's where exactly. And that's something we did agree upon, is we have a live, it's not live, but it's a pre-recorded what you're watching right now. Right. And I guess to be on it, you got to show yourself, which only makes sense. Now, if it was just strictly a podcast, yeah, sure. I mean, because you're not going to see me, I'm not going to see you, and so on and so forth. So it would make sense to do something like that, but not publish it on YouTube, I guess. I'm just thinking now. So maybe down the line, but as far as the video version, yeah, we would definitely want someone to be able to show themselves, because they're on here for a reason. We want, if you don't know the person, for you to get to know the person and show them some support on whatever platform they have going on, whatever it is, especially if you're into it. And a lot of these people that we're talking to and talking about, shoot, they've got a hell of a lot bigger following than we'll have next year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, most of them do.
And it's not that they need the support. It's they're thankful for even being asked to do something like this. Maybe they've never even asked to do something like that before, or they do it on their own and they're just sick of doing it on their own and they want to come on and talk with somebody.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's probably at least 50% of it, is that they just want to let someone else run it and ask them the questions for once.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be cool.
Speak instead of having to ask all the questions. Speak. Let someone open them up, per se, right. Ask the questions and just let it out, man. Let it out.
So if you, as the viewer or listener, depending on what platform you're on, if you have a recommendation of who you'd like to hear us bring on the show, again, not guaranteeing that we can, but we will definitely try to reach out to them. Different ways to reach out to us to let us know is either in the comments section, if there is one, like there are for these YouTube format videos, or if you go on our website, cruciblelive.com, you'll be able to actually send us a request at the bottom of the screen. You'll see a little, leave us your comments area. It'll go right to our email. You can send us an email as well.
Yeah, email as well. Or if you're a fan of the Instagram, you can send us a DM right on Instagram.
Slide up in the DMs.
And it's like a race to see who gets to answer it first.
It'll probably be Pauly, my guess. You're quick. You're quick with everything, man. Like, I don't know how
stay
you
on
do
top
it.
of it. I am a mobile user.
I post a picture of a chicken and you've liked it before it's done uploading.
I try to hold back.
How you do it, man. So, all right.
I stay busy.
Pauly, I would say you embody what I would identify as a good, cohesive co-host, right? And I think this is important for anybody who wants to start a podcast. If you're wanting to do a format that has a co-host, you got to have somebody on the show that you work well with. That means they at least match your personality style. There's not too much of a conflict there.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to like all the same things. You don't have to come from, the same world. I know Pauly talks about how we're two different dudes from two different worlds, but we have a few things in common. That's really all you need. Sure. But I think I'm
waiting until we start butting heads.
I mean, I don't see it happening.
No, neither do I. I'm trying to figure out something, but it's just not out there yet.
No, I think it's just because we're two like good guys that
what I meant by that is just okay. So we're about the same age. You might be a year older than me, right? Well, we're into the same things. I don't have a chicken farm, and that's something that I'm gonna pick your brain on more. I have some property, and I like to deer hunt. I don't know how much you hunt, and that's another thing that we'll get into. We both like guns and ammunition. I don't know why anybody wouldn't. And what I meant by it's just like, okay, so the same. It was 26 degrees there the other day or today or whatever it was. Okay, yeah, it was 20 degrees here. You have a lot nicer climate most of the year than I have. This is what I mean by two different worlds. Is just little things like that.
Right.
You're in the military. I'm not. That's huge. That's something that I could never even touch and would even think about touching. That's above and that's an honor above and beyond anything in my book, right? And I got total respect for that. What's to anybody that's done any of it. That's just amazing to put your life on the line for the country that really is hurting right now,
Yeah. I appreciate that, man. Yeah. So having a good co-host, I mean, it makes the show, it makes it flow. It makes the conversations go easy. And when you bring a guest on, I mean, half the times you have the same questions as your co-host does for them, but it just shows a level of unification in the direction of the channel as well. So that's kind of nice.
And we're still working on it. We're not the best at it, and we don't claim to be, but it's we catch each other almost trying to talk over each other. And this is something that we continue to work on and will continue to work on. And a lot of it's me because I just like to talk, and sometimes a conversation just goes on for too long, maybe. And I got to get something in before I forget it. Because I should really keep a sticky note or something around here that I can write on so I don't forget stuff like that, because you start talking and a lot of information starts going on and then you're into the conversation. You forgot what you wanted to say. Right.
Yep. Actually, that's probably a really good idea. I think I need to get a notepad. Yep.
And I have one right here. It's just so big. I need something smaller.
I got one. I got one right here too.
Yeah, like those. That's what I need. Right sticky notes. Put that in my stocking.
So we talked a little bit about post-production editing, and I know you said you do some. I definitely go through and
You do. Yep. Great job.
If you ever watch my videos, you'll see like there are chops, like you see clearly where there's gaps. And what I do is I go through and I remove a lot of ums. I catch myself saying or if we have a guest on the show that says I'll take all that out. Any gaps.
I forget the word, but Tommy had one. We had him on, and it was something I caught on to. I said, man, he says that a lot.
It was. He says,
was it?
I've actually, so I follow I love Tommy. Tommy's great. I
know.
I look at the wave pattern of the voice.
That's actually a really good tip.
audio.
Go on though. Yep.
In the audio, you look at the waveform of the audio,
Mhm.
and you can even see where the ums are because they have a certain shape to them. And I was just going through all of that video specifically with Tommy, and I was looking for all of them. I cut them all out. So if you watch my video, it's probably about 3 minutes shorter than yours. So, so the audio
That's
file,
actually a really good tip. What you said is the audio file. You can follow that if you have the right editing software, and you'll know where to start making cuts right off the bat to get rid of stuff that you just pauses. When you're recording a video for YouTube, there's a lot of dead air because you might have messed up, and instead of shutting your camera off, you just leave it rolling because you can edit out. I wish I would have saved all my clips from these past few years of I could have had probably a 25-minute video of just straight F-bombs, because of how good everything's going. And then all of a sudden, because I don't script anything when I record a video, I don't script any of it. It's all off the top of my head. A lot of times, you and I've talked about this, I haven't recorded a video all week. I think the last video I posted was 5 or 6 days ago. I haven't recorded a video. I know. It's just terrible. But you get into these funks, man. You get into these funks where I had 5 videos in the queue, right? And meaning ready to be published. So you just get kind of lazy. If you don't stay on a schedule, you get into that funk, and it's a bad habit. And I, as long as I've been doing it, which hasn't been that long, it's a bad habit that you have to shake if you want to continue to grow on the YouTube platform. So I almost said, so
it happens, man.
That's, yeah. So editing.
I'd say I probably spend about an hour and a half. So not a whole lot of time. I actually found a really good program. I think it's called Capwing or something like that. You have to get a subscription for it, but it's all web-based. Sure. And you upload the video, and then it lets you chop it up and do all kinds of other little fancy things to it. So it works out pretty well. But we also do other post-production. We make, shorts for YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. We do those reels. And hey, don't knock yourself, man. You do the little captions. Yeah, I mean, they're fun to make.
That's a good app to have too. That's a good app to have too for any content creator. It's just called Captions. It's a paid for. You have to pay $10 a month or something. It is what it is. It's a helpful tool. It is.
So I'll say that
very helpful.
We've already mentioned at least 3 or 4, 5 maybe programs that we have to pay for, right? And that's part of it. So StreamYard, I use Capwing, $50 a month. That's not cheap.
For StreamYard, no, it's not. Capwing, that's got to be right around what per month?
Capwing, I think, is 24, something like that. I also
Captions
have
is 10, I said.
Streamlabs, OBS.
I've never got into that. I just didn't have the time to figure it out. I wanted just to.
It's really nice, but you know what? I say StreamYard does have a great application for this use for two people.
It's very user friendly for this.
Yeah. What else do I have? I've got BazArt. That's where I do a lot of my Photoshop editing. I don't know if you have that one. I've got Splice on my phone. That's where I do a lot of video splicing there.
I used to have Splice. I have one called PixArt. That's where I make all my thumbnails or anything I post on any picture I take. Sometimes I touch them up and put them in there. Either it's on Instagram that I post something, because it gives you the option just to crop it right away. Because you take a picture with a camera, Instagram, it's got to be a square platform or a long platform to you don't cut anything off, right?
Right. Yeah, and then there's the website. What do I use for the website? Squarespace.
Didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so Squarespace is a paid subscription, and as well, if you want to do the email campaigns, so we send off blast emails. I'll talk about that in a minute too. That's also a subscription because that's not free. It's really nice emails that get sent out. Yeah, so it is an investment, and as Pauly said in the beginning, all of these investments are investments in yourself. So none of them are going to be a waste, because if anything, you're learning a skill. You're gaining a tool as you go along. And Pauly, I was going to mention this. For any of these if we have a link that we can share in the description, please feel free to go check down there. And who knows, some of them might even have some kind of a discount code or something like that. But so that we can, help you guys get off the ground if anyone else is trying to start a podcast of their own.
Sure.
So that was post-production and editing. Pauly, you're a master at marketing. So let's talk about marketing and promos.
Marketing and promos.
Like, how do you market these videos once we make them?
It's all, a lot of it's in artwork and just in your description. Like you're trying to sell yourself. How do I want to put this? You're trying to sell yourself. You're trying to sell ourselves. We're trying to sell the show, right? So you want to talk as if you're talking on this show as you're, typing something out, right? And it's got to be, I'm going to go back to Tommy. When he posts something on Instagram, there's always a catch line, or there's always that hook at the beginning, and then there's the end of it, how you stack in, and then what he says. But then there's that hook at the beginning, because Instagram, again, only gives you so much room to type until you have to physically click more on Instagram. So if you can get somebody to click that more and continue reading, that's part of that hook and reel in process, right? It's sad to say that it's not. I don't want to say it's like you're trying to scheme something, because you're not. You're trying to sell yourself as something good, basically, right? Which is really tough to do, because Instagram's a huge platform. We can post on YouTube, right, in a community tab. I don't know how far that goes out. If that's just subscribers,
just your friends list.
Yeah. So and that's fine. And so they know, the people who are actually subscribed. But the point of being on YouTube is not only keeping those subscribers there, but how can we get to the next one, and how can we get to the next one, and so on and so forth. So it's nothing against the ones that are already subscribed. We totally appreciate that, and we're glad you keep coming back. But we want more like you to continue to come back.
Right.
And that also, on Instagram, when you do get folks to share your information, that's a huge help. That's a huge help. And when it comes down to the photography, it's got to look good, man. And I tell you, I say that, but then I'm going to talk about my brother. He does some really good thumbnails, right? And he just did a deer hunting video. Well, in that world, he's following other people, just like I follow other people on YouTube, on the platform I'm on, or the information I do. He'll send me a screenshot of somebody else's thumbnail that is just a YouTube generated thumbnail, and it's blowing his video out of the water.
Yeah, it's trash.
So it is. So you kind of get down on yourself, but you can't. You can't get down on yourself, because you actually did a really good job on it, and you did the time, you took the effort. But that's where people start thinking, I just got to stop doing this, and I'm doing something wrong. But you can't look at it that way. But so I do take a lot of time with artwork, right? I try to, at least I think I do.
Yeah, and you do, and it works out really good, which I think leads to the next topic, which would be search engine optimization and description sections, which there are plenty of them.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
Dude, it's that, again, it's something I do enjoy, but it is a lot of work. Like, okay, so each video has its own description, and it's a lot of time typing that stuff up, right? You can use AI tools, and some of it is good, but you can tell that it's AI generated, right? So you can take some of that and then add your own in. But some say keywords and all that stuff don't matter on YouTube, and I'm here to tell you that's not true. Like, you got to study, like this episode. I already know what keywords I'm going to put in. I already know what hashtags I'm going to put in. That's a lot of the process of having your title, right? When you're making a video or a podcast like this, and this is just the way I think, and because I'm an overthinker. I'm just going to use a video. When you're making a video for YouTube, you should already have the title and thumbnail done. And if that's already done, you should already have the description done, because you already know what the video is going to be about. So all that work should already be done. All you need to do is record it, edit it, put it up on YouTube. Except you have to do that first before you can add all that other stuff. So a lot of times people don't do that, and they say, okay, now what am I going to say in the description? What thumbnail? What hashtags? All that should be done because you know what the video is going to be about already. So if you have all that, and that's where a script does come in handy, but I don't script anything, so a lot of it is catching those keywords, what your video is about at the beginning of all your descriptions and your titles. You want to have a good title that also has keywords in it. It's a lot of work, and I can't explain it in 10 minutes, but it takes some time. I did a lot of rabbit hole digging to get where I'm at, and I don't know it all, and I'll never know it all. It's just constantly changing, but it does take some work. It's not easy.
Do you use TubeBuddy?
I actually use both. I pay for both. I use vidIQ and TubeBuddy.
vidIQ and TubeBuddy. So that's 2 more subscriptions.
Yep.
Look at that, man.
Yeah.
Money's just going out there. Just
and
throw money into the wind, and eventually
your
podcast will work.
I've talked about it once before, that it's not about when a YouTube channel gets monetized, it feels good because you've put a lot of money into that channel to get monetized.
Right.
And when people start recognizing you and you do accept money to either put out a video, or you're given a great review or a bad review on a coin, well, that's a payment. They send you this product to review, whether or not you like it or don't like it. They want you to review it, and that's a payment for doing it, whether somebody believes it or they don't believe it. But it's payback to me, and I enjoy doing it. It's the point of the channel, to get information out there, enjoyable information that people will enjoy, and factual. There's so much that isn't factual anymore. It's crazy.
I agree. Yeah, people kind of buy the positive reviews or whatever, and that's not correct. That's
so
not
much
the right way
clicky
to do
stuff.
things.
So much clicky stuff, dude. That is what it is.
Pauly, what would you say is the benefit, the value of creating those reels or shorts or TikToks?
You can reach a lot more people that way in a lot quicker time. I after we're done recording, I'm going to check out what we did, but we posted. So today's Wednesday. We uploaded our first 5 episodes onto YouTube today with the intro video. I'm curious to see, I forget what time I did that, but I'm curious to see if any of them got any views yet, because now it's on YouTube's end to put that out in front of people, and we'll see what happens. But if you put a reel out, a short video within that video, it tends to get a lot of traffic depending on what time you publish. Again, the title, the keywords, the hashtags, all that stuff, it all helps. But you can reach a lot more people that way.
Yeah, I agree. I think the reels, it's almost like watching a trailer to an episode. You get a snippet, and it's the highlights. It's like a nice little highlight. And yeah, like you said, if it's a really good one, it'll get you some reach. It'll bring in some new faces.
In which I will say this about this podcast versus doing your own channel with shorts and stuff like that. What I've noticed on my end is I've picked up a heck of a lot of subscribers on shorts on YouTube. Now I'm just talking about YouTube here. I picked up a lot of subscribers that way. But what I've noticed is a lot of those subscribers are not watching long form content. Which is okay, because I picked up a lot of subscribers on long form content. So it's a fine line of, it doesn't matter what your subscriber count is when you're talking about making YouTube content. You want views over subscribers, right? That's how your channel reaches. And YouTube is and always will be a long form content platform. It's added the shorts because it's got to keep up with Instagram reels and Facebook reels and TikToks. It had to add that. And when they did that, it exploded. It exploded with everybody's now taking their TikToks and putting them on YouTube, and people are getting monetized just by shorts, because YouTube's a multi-billion-dollar company and they got money they just want to hand you.
Yeah. Now the money's coming in. So yeah, they're going to send it back out. It's a good incentive.
It is for 100%. It is. And for someone to say it isn't, they're just not going about it the right way, in which to put somebody down for being monetized is a terrible thing. Number one, I guess. And it is what it is. If you want to make them just for yourself and to show your stuff off, I watch a lot of it and I think it's great. I do. That's what everybody in this kind of realm, this precious metals kind of started on. And that's where you get into the hands and coins and why people don't like to show themselves. But I wanted to grow and I'm going to continue to grow. And one of the reasons I had to start showing myself, and that's right, where we're at.
Yeah. So growing from the YouTube platform onto all these other platforms, I think is also another benefit that somebody starting out a podcast should consider. Because as we mentioned before with the reels, it's all about reach. Like there are people who are on Spotify who don't go on YouTube, or who maybe they're on Apple Podcast or whatever other streaming service, and they love podcasts. They want to listen to it in the car, but they, don't want to sift through the trillions of videos on YouTube. So they would rather just go to whatever platform they're most familiar with. So we are, thanks to you, Pauly, we are now stretching out to this next level of putting ourselves out there again through another paid subscription.
So if you are watching us on YouTube, but you do listen to podcasts on, I'm just going to name the big three that I'm calling the big three would be Apple Music, Amazon, and Spotify. Look for us. It's the Crucible Podcast, and follow along there as well. If you don't continue to follow along on here, YouTube, or if you're in your car and you don't feel like bringing up YouTube and you just want to hit that Spotify icon, we'll pop right up there now.
Yep. And I'll throw in there iHeart also. I think iHeart's also a big
it
platform.
Is, and it's been around for a really, really long time. It's just, it seems like those other three, and that's why they're on that platform as the top three, I guess, is they do so much brand, not advertising. They do so much advertising that iHeart and Pandora almost gets forgot about. But there's people that listen on there, and a lot of them, because it is a free service, and Spotify is a free service as well. And I think Apple Music is a free service, I for a certain point. But Spotify, you'll get commercials, which is how they pay their bills.
Did you know, and you may know this already, Joe Rogan got paid $10 million to switch his showing of his podcast to Spotify first, meaning before he was always doing it YouTube first, and then he would kind of like what we're doing, stream it out to Spotify or whoever. And they paid him $10 million to exclusively start his show from Spotify, and then later air it on YouTube or whatever, whenever he feels like it. And he can still air it on both.
Yeah. And his has a video version on Spotify. Right. You can watch the video version of that not while driving your car. Don't watch it while you're driving your car. But it has the video version on Spotify.
Yeah.
Which is cool. It's cool. So it's a lot, man. It is a lot to take in.
Yeah, just a couple quick more things before, because I know we're at time. Thumbnails, you do a great job with the thumbnails. I think you take a lot of time to go through and find probably the worst facial expressions that I make in a video, and you slap it in there. No, I'm just kidding, man. They do come out looking really good though. And I know that's
and a lot of that is from the iPhone. Like, so how I do those is I go through the video, whether I slide my finger like this and I take a bunch of screenshots. And the new update on iPhones, you can click on a person and then save that image. It cuts it out perfectly, and save that image on your phone. And then I take it and put it into the Pixar app. Or it's an app for making thumbnails and everything else. So that's where it starts, though, is on the phone.
Yep. And then
Pixar just doesn't do as good a job anymore as far as that, as far as a background cutout or whatever. iPhone, whatever they did, it's amazing. It is amazing.
So there's also the website. Value of a website, I feel it just gives the people a location to go to. You can put all of your everything on there regarding maybe what was on the last episode, what's coming up on the next episode, any giveaways or promos you're about to do, as well as other ways that the viewers can reach the hosts. So whether it be on Instagram, YouTube, or any other, any of the other streaming services. It'll all be on there. And there's also a place that they can send you a message if they want to. And the last thing I think that's also important is the mailing list. Pauly, I don't know if you have anything else to add, but mailing lists allow us as the host to let you guys know, hey, another show coming out tomorrow. Here's what it's about. Make sure you tune in. You're going to love it.
Yeah, it's not a bunch of spam. It's not to bug you. It's to let you know, and that's good for us that you're reminded. It's just a little reminder is all it is. It's not meant to be a pain in the ass or anything like that. It's another time taking thing that you type up and send out. It's just time consuming is what it is, and we don't have to do it. We enjoy doing it. It's just the extra steps to keep the process going, to keep the growth going. And that was another thing. It's time. A lot of it is time. You have to make the time, because you can't just make up anything and there it is. Like you have to do the work to get it to where you want it to be. So time is a huge thing when you're talking about recording videos or making a podcast.
Yeah. As it's with anything, I don't think success happens by accident. You actually have to put in the elbow grease to make things actually happen. So, you do it. I don't know if you ever heard, Pauly, the analogy of the well, the pitcher pump. How you can sit there, you can pump it, and you pump it. It doesn't really do much. It takes forever for the water to come up. But if you take a bucket of water, you pour it into the pump, and then you start pumping, it primes it, right?
Got to prime
gets
the pump,
it going.
baby.
So what we're doing right now is we're priming the pump, and that's where you're at. You might not see the results the same day or after a week or a month, but the results will come.
No, I can see it in the analytics end on my end when we publish a video. I'm just saying from where we started to now that you upload a video and it's growing that day, people are watching that day, and then it continues to grow throughout the week. And that's great. That's great. And that's what you want to see. And maybe some topics it's not going to do that well, but we did the work, we hit publish, and how do I put that? Publish is always better than something or another. I forget how I said it. I said it too many times.
All good, man. Well, Pauly, this was great, man. I think there's a lot of good information shared there. Probably I'm going to be referencing back to it to make sure that we're doing things right down the road. But this is good stuff, man.
I'll play it again myself, I'm sure. As always, brother, it's been great. And thank you all for listening wherever you're listening at.